Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Joe, aka The Casual, and welcome to the clinch.
Let's look at this.
Look at the suplex here. Right on his head.
Unbelievable suplex lands right on his head.
Jesus Christ.
So, let's talk a little bit about Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirer. So, I'm sure all of you guys have probably seen by now that Conor accepted the fight for the 23rd of January. Now, that alone, he was doing a lot of bitching about wanting that fight to be this year, whether it be the 11th of November or sometime in December. And he was pretty adamant on that, but I also know that Dana does not want to put him in a fight without there being fans. You know, I can understand that to an extent, being, you know, it's roughly, 20 million in revenue lost. But I feel like you could probably make that up in pay-per-view. You know, people that aren't going to be going to see the fight live are going to be buying tickets to at least go see it. But anyways, so let's go back to their first fight. And what do you guys think about that fight? Do you guys think it's going to be a different fight this time around?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks.
I feel like it's going to be a completely different fight just because they're completely different fighters now. To an extent, they aren't drastically different fighters, such as Poirer is mainly a boxer and jiu-jitsu, as he really always has been. Of course, he's tightened up his jabs and a lot of his strikes, but he doesn't really throw a whole lot of kicks.
It's done. Eddie Alvarez is done.
Right hand.
Alvarez is still swinging, though. Look at this. What a warrior, Eddie Alvarez. That's the Poirier finish.
You see him throw a leg kick from time to time, but I mean, that's really about it. He's mostly a boxer. You don't really see him take people down to the ground too often. Again, he's kind of like a Nate Diaz type, minus the durability. And granted, Nate is, I would say, more sloppy with his strikes. But where Nate Diaz lacks in that, or rather where Dustin lacks in durability, he makes up in striking. So now let's look at Conor for a minute. Conor, he's also kind of a one-dimensional fighter in a sense, as in he doesn't really have a whole lot of ground game that we have seen anyway. He has ground defense for sure. He definitely has good ground defense, but if Dustin takes him to the ground, you know, Dustin's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. So, and if you look at his last fight with Khabib, you can't really, you can take it into account by saying that he's nowhere near as good as Khabib, which is very accurate. I don't think anybody in the fight game right now is as good as Khabib on the ground, but the question is if Dustin takes Conor down, will Conor be able to survive? Will he be able to handle Dustin's skill level on the ground? I think he will. I think Conor handled himself fairly well on the ground with Khabib. Now, I know he was throwing his toes and whatnot in the cage and, doing some shady things, but even when they were out in the middle, he seemed to handle himself really well. And my only concern is if Conor gets caught in another choke or anything in the nature, he seems to, I don't know if that's just a way for him to toss a fight by just getting choked out, because that seems to be the trend with him. But I think he'll handle himself well. I think he'll be able to handle Dustin's level of skill on the ground. Now, let's talk their striking. I do think that Conor outstrikes Poirier.
Alvarez getting loose, getting better here in this round, though.
Oh, man.
Until that.
Oh, he's done. He's done.
All day. And he has a lot of different elements that he brings to the striking. Now, he did change quite a bit of that after the Nate Diaz fight. After that first Nate Diaz fight, I don't think anybody can argue with me that he definitely changed his style quite a bit. He stopped throwing a lot of unnecessary kicks and whatnot. And it was mainly the kicks that he kind of scrapped. And like the spinning kicks and things like that. Like he threw, I think his opening sequence in the first fight was a hook kick. And, his opening strike rather, was that hook or a question mark kick. I believe it was a hook kick. And then like he, all the way up to that first Nate Diaz fight, he was always throwing roundhouses and hook kicks, different, all sorts of different kicks, which I think is fantastic, especially against another striker. But if he does that with Poirier, which I highly doubt he'll do, but if he does that with Poirier, I think it would work great against Poirier because he's not quite as durable as Nate Diaz. So I don't think those strikes would be so wasted. But I do think that even with that change in Conor's game, he made his game even more crisp than what it was the first time that they fought, Dustin and Conor. So with that said, if you think Dustin is going to beat Conor, how do you view him beating him? I don't, any which way that I look at it, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Dustin beats Conor. I think Conor is he's too controlled in the octagon. And not only that, but who knows about what kind of mental warfare he'll play on him, if any. I mean, when he was during the Cowboy fight, I mean, there really wasn't any shit talking of any kind. Granted, you could say that maybe Khabib humbled him a little bit, which very well might be true, but you definitely can't. I don't know if he starts the mental warfare. I think that'll work to his advantage. It didn't with Khabib. Khabib's just too mentally strong. He did kind of get under his skin a little bit, but once it came down to fighting, Khabib composed himself. And so, do you guys think? I just don't think that. I don't think that Dustin's going to beat him. I don't see it. I don't think if he brings him to the ground, I think we'll see where that goes. We just haven't seen aside from the Khabib fight with both Poirier and Conor, they both got mauled. But that's not unlike anybody else that Khabib fought. So you really can't use that comparison. I think it would be kind of unfair. So with that said, I haven't seen Dustin on the ground in quite a while outside of the Khabib fight. He's mostly, even the whole Justin Gaethje fight, it was all stand up. I think you saw one takedown attempt. I think he went for a single takedown attempt, but Justin obviously, squashed that. But outside of that, I don't think they went to the ground at all. And again, I haven't seen Dustin on the ground in a long time, but there in turn, I haven't seen Conor to the ground in quite a while. So I would really hope that Dustin takes Conor to the ground because I would really like to see their ground game. But at the same time, I would like to see them stand up, and with them being the fighters that they are now, and what kind of fighter is Conor now? I mean, the last fight that he had was against Cowboy, and that was a 40-second fight, and so I mean, you didn't really get to see much. So I'm really curious as to what kind of fighter Conor is now, which I believe he's pretty much the same fighter as when he fought Eddie Alvarez. But I don't think before the Khabib fight, he was just off, fucking off. That was when he, was coming off that boxing match and so on. Before that was Eddie. And so we really haven't seen him really fucking get down in quite a while. So I'd really like to see what kind of hands he has now and see what kind of improvements he's potentially made. Tell me what you guys think. I mean, do you think it's going to be a different fight this time? Do you think that Dustin has what it takes? Do you think that he has the mental fortitude to get past some of Conor's antics when it comes to the mental warfare, if he even does go that route? And when it comes to the fight itself, do you think that Dustin is going to be able to handle himself? And do you think that he's going to try to take Conor to the ground? I hope he does. I want to see these two fight, and I hope it doesn't end in the first round like it did last time. Or even if it does, I guess I wouldn't be upset at that, just as long as it goes deep into the first. We'll see. Tell me what you guys think, man. I mean, do you think that Conor's going to win? Do you think that Dustin's going to win? How do you think it's going to go? And if you think, what round do you think it's going to end in? How do you think it's going to end? Anyways, thanks for revisiting the channel. I know it takes a lot. I know the channel sucks right now, and you got to kind of grit through it. But I'm trying to get better. I've been this editing thing. I'm starting to get a little bit of a handle, the basics. But anyways, until next time, keep it in the clinch.